How's it going, y'all? This is Future Neon here. This is part 2 of the Winter 2025 Seasonal Anime Impressions podcast. If you missed part 1, go ahead and click the card in the top right-hand corner to check it out. All right, Crunchy, I think this might be a first in Castaway Anime seasonal podcast coverage history, where I thought the opening act, the main event highlight for a block of a podcast would be a banger, but it turns out to be really, really not great in Honey Lemon Soda.
I saw the title. Okay, first of all, I constantly, whenever I hear the title, just think Honey and Clover, which, if you don't know, is Chika Umino's previous manga before Sangatsu no Lion, that I've heard is super good and I need to read / watch the anime for. And I'd probably rather watch that because this one is not good. It's real. Speaking of
It's
Sangatsu no
ugly.
Lion, it's ugly, but it's also a washed version of the bullying arc in that show in one episode.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even compare the two. Like, yeah, the girl gets bullied, but she ultimately stands up for herself and because of the influence of the guy. And then he steps in for her anyway. Like she does spray the other girls with the soda, and like that like by itself is like a cute empowering moment, but in the end the guy still steps in like, hey, if you got a problem with her, you got a problem with me, you gonna be fucking with her anymore?
I'm just not sure how I feel about the conceit of this show being I'm being bullied, but don't worry, man. There's this dude and he's hella hot and he's gonna help me out. Just I don't know. It feels off in a way that's difficult
It
to
feels a
articulate.
little I'm pandering to an audience of desperate, lonely girls of a similar age. It's like, oh, I hope a hot guy comes and saves me from my bullies. Spray soda on them.
Yeah, too knight in shining armor for me. When the stuff about her overcoming it, by herself, maybe with support from the guy, I mean, it's not good still, but it was, I don't even know what it was.
I'll
It
give
wasn't
the
good.
show credit for starting off with a golden shower of the girl by the main guy. That was a pretty banger moment. Very, very bold.
True.
But
Yeah.
it's your typical shy, quiet girl gets brought out of her shell by the reserved, cool guy. It's a dynamic you've seen plenty of times before and executed in non-ugly ways, because man, is this show ugly.
It's like all the worst parts of shoujo art styles at once.
They look like
bleaching
weird
your
dolls.
eyes.
They don't look like people. They look like weird
They look
dolls. It's not even an
ugly.
appealing art style.
I don't know. Just like watch any other shoujo. I feel like any of them would give a more fulfilling experience.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what's the closest thing that it reminds me of this art style but good. I'm
I mean, the one
like
I think of, because it's basically the only shoujo romance I've seen in completion, is Ore Monogatari. Just because that show is a banger.
Yeah, that's a good comparison actually.
Because it has the shoujo art style, but it also looks great. It's like, oh my god, I love shoujo anime. This is so pretty looking. All the characters look so fluffy and amazing. And then you go to this, and it's like, what happened? What?
Why do you look like that?
I wish I had more to say, but it's just super flaccid. It's just not. I wish it looked pretty. I wish it had like any directing. It's just
going into the season, it was one of the more popular anticipated shows, which is why I had it highlight block 2 to share adjacent to Sakamoto days across block 1. But now going with the current Mal charts, it's currently sitting at 10th place in popularity, but it's currently sitting at a 6.88 score. So people are not talking about it and have promptly stamped it with a mark of shite.
Yeah, it's not even bad in unique ways. It's just kind of not good. I mean, it's not offensively awful. I could
Uh,
watch it on 2 times
Out of
speed.
curiosity, just because I haven't checked this yet, I want to see what the manga looks like and see if they just
Probably
fucked up
better.
the anime.
I'm willing to bet much better.
Uh, they still kind of look like dolls. I guess it looks better in still images.
Hmm.
I'm looking at the cover, and these covers are haunting. If you just look up
They're
the
haunting?
fucking
Okay,
volume
hold on.
covers, the dude looks haunting. He doesn't look real. He looks
Alright.
like a fucking.
Honey Lemon Soda manga. I need to see these apparently haunting images.
Actually, the dude looks better in the anime than the at least the covers. The
What
covers look
the
fucking
fuck?
frightening.
I mean, okay, I love how the girl looks on the cover. What is up
I
with
feel
the
like they're
guy?
applying the same like cutesiness to the guy though, and that's not what his character is though. He's not like a twink.
He's
He's
supposed to be cool.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the cool, shy, reserved guy, but they're making him out to be a twink.
I don't know. I mean, I like the girl. I like how she looks in the manga. I'm just not convinced on the guy at all.
Maybe maybe this whole thing was just a big crock of shite.
I don't know. I mean, assuming the anime plot-wise is similar to the manga, it's probably not very good. Overall, don't watch.
Yes, but do watch. Run, don't walk. To I Have a Crush at Work. I fucking adore this show.
Adore is a strong word. I enjoyed the first episode.
Let me get my big
but...
criticism out of the way first. Visually, it's not anything spectacular. It's bare minimum acceptable. I wish the main male character had more of a unique design. He's kind of John every anime-esque, but I think what offsets him is that they gave him a personality.
No. Yeah, but I want to like this show more than I do. Because I see there's a good show in here, and it's making a lot of schmoves I enjoy. It's definitely watchable. I watched the entire episode at 1 time speed, which in this season especially is insane.
Yeah, I watched this whole episode with a big fucking smile on my face that just grew more and more because they're fine. This show was made for me and me specifically. You know, Crunchy, and fans of the podcast know that all these years I have been clamoring for anime about adults in adult settings in newly established relationships, just being in said relationship and doing cute relationship things. And now here we are, I'm giving that exact thing. They're fucking drinking beer together at each other's houses. Or their
I
homes,
made note of
whatever.
all these same things.
They're
I saw the
chilling.
beer and thought it was based.
They had sex by the end of the episode.
I also noted that. And I have in my notes they had sex.
Together.
Woo anime of the year.
They have adorable chemistry and banter together. It's not like bog standard stock anime dialect like I look you look handsome today, senpai-kun. I love the little thing where it's like he compliments her for being cute. She goes "Eehee," and he says, "Don't eehee me." It's like, it's just not fair. I wasn't prepared for you to compliment me. It's like, I've done this with my girlfriend. Like this, I just saw myself in this show so much, and maybe that's why I love it so much.
See, the production is the main issue because there's another show from last season that does what this show does, but I think better, and I would rather watch.
365 Days to the Wedding?
Yes, it is literally that show. Because this show is also about a stupid fucking excuse to... Well, in that show, it was them trying to, convincingly put on the act of a relationship. In this one, it's the opposite of trying to hide the relationship, but, same thing, essentially.
I mean, they're gonna fall in love with each other in 365 Days.
Well, yeah, no shit. But...
Yeah, they're trying to fake the fact that they are getting married, while this one they're hiding their relationship altogether.
Yeah, and both have these premises where it's like, oh, we got to convince people of such and such in our relationship, which it inevitably leads to goofy rom-com hijinks. But I feel like I'd rather read the manga for that show first, because the girl likes maps, but also because I don't know, I just like the characters more in that show. I really dig them, and I genuinely think it would be a pleasant experience to specifically read the manga for. But even as an anime, it looked better, I enjoy the characters more, and considering how parallel these shows are, I feel like I could get the same experience there but better. And that's what hurts
I
me.
I can understand where you're coming from. If you take them as individual characters with like their own things going on, the leads from 365 Days to the Wedding are more interesting by virtue of like they have their own hobbies and interests
They're
shown and
both
goals.
autistic as fuck. Come on, Neon. You
Yeah,
know
clearly,
that's the recipe to make a good character.
yeah, clearly laid out in their first episode. Whereas we don't really. It's not that we don't get an idea of the main characters in this show, Mitsuya and Tateshi's characters here, because they have very clearly defined personalities, which is part of the reason why I like this show so much, and how they play off of each other is so great. That is an edge that I think this show has over 365 Days. Their chemistry is just so much more bubbly and fun. Granted, it's because they're already dating versus those two in the other show are just going to start falling in love, and they just happen to like find common autistic ground that they can relate to with.
I don't know, man. The
But
scene of the one girl getting super drunk and doing karaoke is one for the ages. I feel like that.
okay, but counterpoint,
that alone.
counterpoint, butt pout.
Butt pout, true. Honestly, one of the
Why
things
why did her whole face turn into an ass when she pouted? We are reaching pout levels once thought impossible by scientists.
something I actually really like about this show is that it's sort of like weirdly meta in terms of both of their statuses, especially the girls as tsunderes. Because it is stated at the beginning that they started off, having the whole fiercely combative chemistry thing. But we get to skip the tsundere bullshit. We get to not even have to experience the whole. It's not like I like you or anything. No,
That's
we
what
know
I'm
now.
saying.
I was so
That's
happy
why
when I was like,
always clamoring
we have
for shows, romances about already pre-established relationships.
But the weirdly meta thing is that they have to put on the facade of being tsunderes while not actually being tsunderes anymore. Where she's like, oh, well, actually, I fucking hate this guy. Get a load of this guy. Meanwhile,
Yeah, like, how the hell do you
she's like,
pretend
I'm
not
so
to?
sorry.
Like how the hell do you pretend to not like a guy when his dick's been inside you and you liked it?
It is. Yeah, I mean, I love the premise of this show. I feel. You know what? If this show was adapted by like, if it had an
Cloverworks?
A tier Dogakoba adaptation, it
Dude,
would be great.
I'm only pulling this off the dome because it's like the next another top tier romance that I love. If this had the visuals of My Dress Up Darling, this would be a fucking banger. A banger out of 10. Unfortunately, it is by Studio Blade, who this is one of their rare solo productions. Usually they're producing shows with Silverlink, stuff like Hokkaido Gals, Level 1 Apartment Hero, Demon Lord, whatever, Mysterious Maid, shit like that.
Yeah, I didn't know anything by them when I saw the studio name. I was just like, studio I don't recognize. But yeah, I mean, this
shit is so cute.
It is. Once again, I'm if it had a good production, that's what it's lacking.
Like, it's not that once again, not that the production is bad. Like, there was never a time I was like, ooh, that directing is like really ugly, or oh man, those colors are so bad. It's bare minimum acceptable. Like, it is perfectly average. It's not breaking any molds. It's not doing anything outside the box, but you're not coming for the visuals, you're coming for the writing and for the performances, because by golly, it's all adorable.
I do really like the girl.
She's so cute. She fucking she comes over to the dude's house and pulls out a beer, starts drinking with them, talking about how they're gonna go see a movie. Come on. What more could you possibly ask for?
I don't know. I mean, it's fine. I can't get into this show the same way you seem to be. I wish I could, but
The
I
way they
can't.
flirt is so romantic, bro. How smooth was it at the end where he was like going in to kiss her, like calling her by her first name, like stop doing that, it's embarrassing, I wasn't prepared for all this, and like, okay, let's continue back at my place. And then we cut to the alarm clock of both of them hitting it at the same time. He gives her a good morning. You could tell they're both completely undressed, sleeping in the same bed together, and they don't hit you with the fucking stupid ass, oh, don't look at me, Baka, I'm professional, I'm what's the word I'm looking of?
Unclothed,
Yeah,
naked.
no, I thought it was like I want to say not unwell. I'm gonna skip that for now. I'm indecent. That's what I'm thinking of. Indecent. No, they just had sex. They spent the night sleeping next to each other, and she's just embarrassed that, yeah, don't compliment me like that. It's so cute. It's so fucking cute. They're cute. They're fucking. They're in a relationship. They're adults. It's literally after so much like romance schlock that we've been getting recently, like especially after fucking Honey Lemon Soda and spoiler, the next show. It is a breath of fresh air.
Okay, well, now that you mention Okitsura, what kind of beef you got with Okitsura?
Well, first of all, what is this lighting?
Neon, you better not be an op to Okitsura. Neon, anything. You could have chosen any other show.
Dog, I made it 5 minutes in.
You made
I wanted
it 5
to like it.
minutes in?
I wanted to like it, dog. You know me and tan girls. The whole time through the opening, I saw all the tan characters out. I just wrote down in my notes, just spending most our lives living in a dark-skinned paradise.
All right, well, all you listeners at home, Neon's a fucking idiot, and this show is amazing.
Amazing?
I love this show. Fuck you.
You love it.
I love it.
That is wild. Okay.
That is not wild.
Dude, I could not fucking stand. They beat the fucking I can't understand what my Okinawan girlfriend is saying into the ground in the first 5 minutes alone.
Okay, fuck you. Let me explain why this show is actually peak fiction. So the entire point of this show is it's clearly someone who lived in Okinawa at some point in their lives, probably grew up there, and clearly has like a personal relationship with this place. And so he is, he thought to himself, how do I best convey my culture to the masses? And he thinks and he's like, cute girls. But he's not some fucking hack who's like, I'm gonna put them in their fucking underwear within the first 5 minutes. No. There is no, like, explicit partial nudity in this episode, which, first of all, I expected, like, a billion panty shots as soon as I saw the premise. So I was extremely pleased.
I'm surprised to hear that there was not a beach type scene or a bathing suit scene.
I'm sure it's coming within the show.
Oh, it's definitely
fucking coming. The fact that they didn't do it in the first episode, I mean, I'm so used to it at this point that not seeing that is huge. But second of all...
Okay, but to be fair though, the main girl did snuggle up to the best friend translator girl's tits within like the first 2 minutes of the show.
Don't care. They didn't get half naked, and that's all that matters. Okay, but second of all, fuck you, this show is awesome, because you didn't get to the part where they're explaining, like, Okinawan culture to this guy who's a newcomer to the location, and there's so many hilarious and charming moments. For example, okay, so as an example of this, there's one, so one of the girls' last names is Higa. And apparently in Okinawa, it's a thing where a lot of people have the last name Higa. So he's like, oh, Higa-san. And then immediately, like, half the crowd of people is like, me? Me, and it just keeps cycling through them like it literally, he thinks like, oh my god, I've summoned the zombie apocalypse. They pull out a Zombieland Saga reference with Zombieland Higa. It's great. He summons the fucking apocalypse. That's not even the funniest part of the episode. Fuck you, this show is amazing, and I hate that you hate it. That's literally that joke is great. It's not even the funniest part of the episode. The funniest part is when there's apparently this thing called a kame attack in Okinawa, where because they have a lot of, local dishes that they really like showing newcomers, this guy's new to the place, and someone mentions Sata Andagi, which, me being an Azumanga Daioh fan, I immediately put in my notes, Sata Andagi. Then he's like, oh, what's Sata Andagi? Everyone in the class immediately goes, oh my god, I'll make you some. Yeah, we love Sata Andagi here. Here's some, all right? And then the next day he swarmed with it, and that's what's called a kame attack. Because apparently Okinawans are so passionate about their food and like cultural things that if a newcomer here is like, oh, I've never heard of that, they immediately, like, everyone is like, fucking, we'll show you, we'll red pill you on what's great here. But then at the very end of this part of the episode, they expand on the joke in a fucking hilarious way, where eventually all the people in the other classes, word has gotten out, right? So his entire class gave him, too much Sata Andagi to deal with. Then the other classes hear about it and they're like, here's some. And then, to make it even more absurd, there's a line outside of the school. People from neighboring schools have heard that this guy hasn't had Sata Andagi, and so they're here to give him Sata Andagi. And it's like, I know that's not realistic at all, but this is clearly based on something the author has been through. Like, he has clearly seen something like this and is exaggerating it for the sake of humor, and I love it. I love seeing this author who's clearly so passionate about about Okinawa in general be like, here's what it's like. Here's some of the stuff we do around these parts. And I love this show. Neon, fuck you. I can't say fuck you enough. This show is awesome.
All right, for you, when I have the chance, I'll finish the first episode and to give it a full fair shake. Because it's don't get me wrong, it's far from the worst thing that I saw even in this block of episodes alone. But I was hoping that it was not going to. I was hoping it was gonna be good. I was hoping that I was gonna like it because you know me, I love tropical settings. I live in Florida. I like being by the beach. I like tanned anime girls. But dude, I couldn't fucking stand the I can't understand what you're saying gimmick. Cause she okay, so the gimmick's fucking stupid. They beat it into the ground within the first 5 minutes immediately. The main girl does she does not even attempt to meet the guy halfway and be like, oh, you don't understand what I'm saying. I can kinda dumb it down for you a little. She's just completely oblivious to the fact that this clear outsider has no idea what the fuck she's talking about.
The peak is going over his head so badly. The reason why she's doing it, well, first of all, it's because she's a fucking idiot. But second of all, because her friend is acting as translator between her and this guy.
But in actuality, she's doing it just so she can have an excuse to talk about this guy, and it's a quirky love triangle.
And
well, now I'm just like, okay, then why the fuck are you in love with the girl that you can't understand what she's saying? When this girl who is actually able to communicate with you and is also pretty much from where I'm standing as attractive as this other girl who you once again cannot understand enough. What does she have that she doesn't?
Neon does love Nita Y. No, but seriously, I think there's a I think there's genuinely a non-zero chance that he gets with this girl by the end. And hear me out, because I know, for all intents and purposes, this is a pretty standard rom-com conceptually. But I don't know, the Okinawan girl just has shown no attraction towards him. Meanwhile, they've put a lot of emphasis on making this girl. By the end of the episode, you're like, I'm all in. You deserve him. You're so fucking cute. Like she's too scared to give him the Sata Andagi, and she's like, thinking about it all day. Eventually, it musters up the courage to give it to him in this adorable arc. I love this girl. I'm on her side. I'm rooting for her. Maybe he'll get with the other girl.
I'm
I don't
rooting for
know.
her too.
But
She's never gonna win.
I don't know, man. I think there's maybe I'm getting strung along here, but I think there's a non-zero chance. But
I
also,
think you're getting
it doesn't even super fucking matter because that's not even the best part of this show. This show is clearly designed to go on forever, but it's one of the few times where it has an excuse. Because I want to learn about Okinawa. My body is ready. My mind is strapped the fuck in
that's
to
okay.
learn
I'm
about
also
Okinawa.
down to learn more about Okinawa. I would just like to learn about Okinawa without some annoying ass gimmick of, oh, we have to translate. We have to put all this different text on screen to subtitle what she's saying.
I did not get tired of the gimmick, right? I thought I was going to, but because there is a show in there. Like, the fact that he can't understand her ends up being pretty incidental, and the scenario they're in where she's acting as translator is adorable to me. I like it. It genuinely, like, it's something unique that makes their dynamic with each other more charming, and the show doesn't treat that as the punchline. Like, okay, it was a little... The one part where I thought it was a little redundant is where they clearly started a new chapter of the manga. And that thing that some mangas do where they reestablish the gimmick and they do that quickly, but then they immediately transition into like, here's the fucking joke of the section. Dude, okay, so for the joke of the second section is that there's this cultural thing in Okinawa where I think I have the exact words written down at some point. Mabiya something something. Basically, whenever you're like super shocked, there's this Okinawan myth or whatever that your soul falls out of your body. But by like chanting this certain phrase and like patting someone on the back, it coaxes the soul back in somehow. And so this is just a cultural thing that particularly old people in Okinawa do. However, it becomes hilarious when, okay, so first, Okinawa girl does it to this little kid who's like, he's lost his mom, and she's like trying to, soothe him. And it's like, a nice gentle pat pat. But apparently, as you're older, the soul gets bigger. And so eventually Okinawa girl is like, oh, you look a bit shocked. Let me, coax your soul back in. And he's like, blushing. Oh my God, is she gonna like hold me that gently and pat my back? And she just fucking smacks him on the back twice. And he's like, huh? Wait, what? And she's like, oh yeah, when you're older, your soul gets bigger. And so you have to, hit the back a bit harder to get it back in. And then, and she says, and I love this detail, oh yeah, old grandmas, they just fucking smack the hell out of you in this cultural tradition. Like, they don't even give a shit. And he's like, oh, oh, that's more shocking than what initially made him shocked in the first place. And I'm like, I love that. This show is good. Neon, you're a fucking idiot. You just don't get it.
I just don't get it. Well,
he
also,
doesn't understand Pete.
I also can't help but notice that you didn't address my criticism of why is the lighting bad? Why is
it
everything
isn't bad.
overly
That's
bright?
why I didn't address it, because the lighting isn't bad and I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
It's so overly bright, only on like their faces. It looks like their faces are lit up, but like they all have like weird shadows around their bodies, like their rear side of their bodies, like the behind them is dark, yet their faces and their fronts are like lit up super bright.
I mean, I kind of get it when I look at the show, but I genuinely it just didn't bother me.
I noticed.
I think the show looks good.
It was the first note that I took down.
I did not even. Honestly, I'm still looking at it like with that in mind, and like I see what you're talking about. It does not bother me.
Maybe it'll bother me less if as I watch the show more and I adjust myself to get used to it. But it caught me off guard for watching it, and then that compounded with the constant overuse of the I can't understand what my cute tomboy Okinawan girl is saying. And then like the introduction of the love triangle be like, okay, I see what type of show this is, and it is not what I thought it was going to be. I don't think I can make it, dog.
Neon, you're not impressing my chat, dude. Chat, chat, kill him with fire.
Listen, you just can't do these kinds of calcs that fast, man. You gotta be using a calc.
Neon, fuck you. I'm gonna. All right, you know what? I'm hitting it with you early. This is my show of the season.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I said it. Fuck
this is better than Medalist?
Well, see, my rationale, even though Medalist and fucking Sakamoto Days, right? Sakamoto Days and Medalist definitely probably have better manga overall. But I'd rather read the manga for both of them.
Even still, like,
this is one of the ones that I would watch the anime for.
With the pacing of this show, I think I'd rather read the manga for this show too.
I think I'd rather watch the anime. I mean, unless the animation goes really downhill. Because there were also some unique moments of directing, like how they give like this.
It's more likely than not, considering that the studio is how do you say this again? Mille Pense.
I've never heard of that studio.
They are famous for Berserk 2016, Take You, Isekai Cheat Skill. Which one is this? I got a cheat skill in another world and became unrivaled in the real world too.
Oh, it's that one. I recognize that title somehow.
Yeah, it's those guys. So don't get your hopes up too much.
I think you're oversimplifying the studio process here a bit. Because it's not necessarily even those guys. 80% of people in the anime industry are contractors. They don't live at one studio, but instead work for a multitude of them. And so this might be one of those cases where, most of the staff is not even native to the studio, and they happen to get some good people to work on it.
I just want to point out something real quick, kind of unrelated. I was caught off guard by... I was looking at the Mal page for the show, and under themes, they have a theme called Love Polygon.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
I guess it's referring to, like, Love Triangle, Love Rhombus, those kinds of shows.
That, just call it a love triangle. That's what it is.
What about when there's more than 3?
Okay, well then that's a love square.
What about when there's more than 4?
Then that's a love. That's a love
that's
pentagon.
A
Well, yeah, also a harem, but. And then we go love hexagon, love septagon.
This being your show of the season is wild.
Look, man, it's not easy being
just admit that you want a dark-skinned GF.
I mean, I don't have to admit that. I mean, obviously, but also, fuck you. This show is peak.
The one thing that I noted during the OP that I really liked was that if you look closely in one of the sections where she's like running across what I thought were rooftops, I could be wrong. The main girl has tan lines on her feet in the outline of the lines of a flip-flop, and I thought that was endearing.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, because
dude, I'm scrolling through the episode because I had it up to like verify.
She's got that fucking Nagatoro ass tan line.
She definitely does. But dude, I'm scrolling through the episode because I was doing it to like verify the lighting complaint that you had. Dude, I'm just remembering all the peak moments in this episode. It's actually good. I really do rate this show.
For you, I'll try to watch the episode tonight at work when I'm by myself. And I'll watch the whole thing.
You won't regret
it.
Just so or maybe you will and you're just wrong.
But in the meantime, because now I know that this will piss you off, I genuinely enjoyed Guild Receptionist more.
See, that's crazy. This was the best of the isekai adjacent shows. It's not really an isekai, make it clear right off the bat, but come on, that fucking title. It's in the
Yeah.
wheelhouse. And to be
It's
fair,
native isekai.
it's the best of them. The dubious title that is.
Cloverworks save us.
The opening of this show, I'll say off the bat, is really well animated.
Well, yeah, why is the animation on the opening so good?
Good animation. But then
it does not reflect the show itself at all.
Yeah, I was about to say, because
very
it
disappointing.
smash cuts from the OP to a CG crowd. And I'm like, what? It was jarring. And they've got a CG dragon here too. What happened?
The ED is also very cute. It is like they do a little dance, which is, you know, easy mode for making good openings and endings.
Yeah, I like the main character. I do not like the show around her.
I do find it very funny, and I can't help but wonder, at least a little bit, if this determined that a studio like Cloverworks, who doesn't really do these kinds of shows, gravitated to this one, if only because the main character's name is Clover.
I didn't even know this was Cloverworks, but that is funny you point out.
That was the one reason I was looking forward to watching this one, because I'm like, okay, Cloverworks usually bats like a 80-90% average on making at least like passable shows at the bare minimum. So maybe they're cooking. Maybe they saw something in this that we didn't, and they're gonna make this a banger of a show. It's not a banger. I even hesitate to call it good. It's watchable. It's definitely, if you have literally nothing else to watch, this is something you can put
it on 1.5
lose
speed.
brain cells.
I finished the episode sped up. I'll give it that.
I did not speed up the episode. I watched it the whole way through, and I was like, I can kind of see where the show is going, and I don't think I would enjoy watching a full season of it, but I would give it another chance, which is more than I could say for a lot of the shows on this block, such as Okinawa.
Chat, this guy put this above Okitsura. Kill him with hammers.
Come on, like, listen, you of all people should be able to relate to this kind of show for being a former part-time wage cut.
That is the one thing that I really liked about this show, which is that it's clearly made by someone with a hatred of customer service, who has worked it in their lives and does not want to go through it again. And I clapped. I stood up and clapped.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes, this show goes out to all the retail workers who had to stay late and do overtime when they were like in a desperate hurry to just get the fuck home due to some customer's bullshit.
I will say, of all the isekai with overpowered main characters, she is the one permitted overpowered main character. That being said, it's still kind of fucking boring.
It's permitted on the grounds of like, it's kind of like a One Punch Man-esque bit where it's like, the point is not that she's so strong that she is like a boring character. Like, it, even despite her like overwhelming strength of that, which by the end of episode 1 is currently unexplained, which will probably go in more in depth as the show goes on. But like, even with all of that incredible power to solo huge dragon raid monsters by herself, she's still like, the only reason she does so is that way she can clock out of her job as a guild adventurer's receptionist on time. Because when raid bosses like that, you know, don't get defeated in the expected accomplishment time or whatever the fuck they use as like fantasy time regulations or whatever, she is like, fuck, I'm backed up with paperwork. These motherfuckers are like making my job way more harder than it should be. I hate this. I've had it up to here. I'm gonna summon my mighty hammer and I'm gonna fucking slay this thing myself just so I can go home.
See, that's a funny concept. The fight itself, I saw CG dragon and I saw red, because I was like, this is you've killed it. Why that's not good.
I
Like,
do like that Clover will straight up kill a motherfucker, even another person, just to maintain her secret of being the secret hero that slays the raid monsters by herself.
I mean, she threatens him with death. I didn't get the impression that she was completely serious about killing him. I
I
thought
got that impression. Bro, you've worked retail. You've worked a part-time wage cuck job before.
I have indeed. Uh,
You're telling me
not to
the
say I
thought of
don't relate to it.
you're telling me the thought of a homicide did not cross your mind at least once.
You do have a fair point. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like this show, I just don't think like. Don't get me wrong, it's a funny premise, but I don't think the actual execution is funny enough or entertaining enough to hold its own. Like once again, I pretty quickly started speeding up the show.
Yeah, they're trying to do a thing where it's like this leader of a party has figured out her identity and is trying to recruit her into their party. Be like, if you become an adventurer with us, we'll be like the most successful adventuring party in the world. But she's like, no, I like my guild receptionist job because I get like all these different benefits. If I don't get like flooded with overtime because of you retards, then I can go home early, or not early, but like on time without like a manageable workload. It's like her dream job. That the only shitty part is that she's backed up with overtime constantly, and so that's why she's got to do what she got to do, and doesn't want to sacrifice that for a life of adventuring, because that's not what she's all about. She wants to go home. She wants to read her books.
Which I definitely relate to as well. But also it's a similar, although less so, situation to I Have a Crush at Work, where it's like the premise sounds appealing, but the execution leaves much to be desired. Although in this case, it's not the visuals per se, except for the CG, but more so just more charm in the writing. Like I wish it was funnier. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I like well, what's it called? The I Have a Crush at Work more than this show. I would definitely
Same.
continue it out like 100 times over before I continue this one.
Yeah, me
I
with
might get
Okitsura.
I would check out the second episode of this show on the just to see like, okay, I've given you your first episode. You've made a overall net positive impression only by like you're very very slightly in the green as opposed to being like in the yellow or in the red. Like
This one's
you're hovering
firmly in the
yellow.
yellow to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's.
it's like a 6.
I thought it was more like a low 5.
It, eh, it could definitely go to shit. I could definitely see myself dropping it, but we'll see. We'll see. I might watch it now. Like it's gonna be crazy. I'm gonna have to start watching shows on my own free time instead of just watching them for the podcast now that we're on hiatus.
Damn, that's frightening thought, having to watch anime. You want to know what else is frightening to watch? The thought of continuing this show, Ubel Blatt.
So, just looking at the poster and the title, my very first thought was, "Ooh, this is gonna be edgy, isn't it?" Sure enough, the show opens with someone's eye getting cut out, and then as you're watching the OP, some rando gets fucking beheaded, which means every time you turn on the show and watch the opening, you're gonna see a guy his head get visibly cut off with blood spraying everywhere.
This main character,
like,
you
yes.
look at him and you're just like, oh, this is that kind of show, isn't it? This is
a white-haired, red-eyed with a facial scar elf dude. I was very much expecting a rape scene in the very first episode. I'm gonna be real. I was expecting some kind of sexual assault.
I did not finish this episode. In fact, I did not even get close. I
got about halfway before I started skipping around to see if there was a rape scene at the last second, but there was not, to its credit. It's just generic dark fantasy.
If it had one, I would
schlock.
genuinely be like bottom of the list, but also it's not good anyway. Dude, it's
No,
just, it's too much. You start the show and you see a guy's eye get fucking torn out with a spear. And you're like, oh, okay, well, the generic violent opening. Then the OP plays and you see the beheading. And then the actual show begins. And immediately more people are getting executed in front of an entire crowd. And you're like, dude, how many people am I gonna have to watch die before I get any characterization?
Yeah. What are you talking about, Crunchy? It's called setting the tone. Maybe you've heard of it.
I feel like the first scene said it fine enough. I feel like the OP was a little bit overkill, and I feel like the murder scene after that, the execution of multiple people, was just a little more overkill on what was already overkill. I'm just saying, literal overkill.
Yeah, it's edgy, it's generic. It's oh, the church is corrupt, the heroes are actually secretly evil, and the guy who got betrayed by them, I guess reincarnated or something as this elf dude. I don't know. I didn't quite get all that. I'm pretty sure like the guy who got betrayed in the opening got his eye cut out, has too much of a distinct design to not have come back in some way, but I don't care about the show to consider it. The last thing I want to say about it is that every time I look at the title, I just think back to the Ubel scene from Free Rim where she is fighting her clone, lifts up, does the iconic armpit shot, and I just go, Ubel Gyat! I will accept my award for funniest AniTuber now.
Yeah, that's about all I have to say about this fucking show. Edgelord Supreme.
Yeah, but hey, you know what? Now we've gotten to the actual best show of the season. Beheneko, the elf girl's cat, is secretly an S-ranked monster.
Inukai-san's dog? Is that you?
Welcome back.
it's
Except
been
this
too
one,
long.
I think goes beyond even that.
I did not get far enough to see how far it went. I'm not gonna lie. I stopped this
Okay,
like maybe a third into the first episode.
So okay, did you get to see the guild staff being comprised of only like buff male strippers?
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Okay,
Or
so
I
you did,
think
you
I
did see that part.
remember watching one go by, but I don't know if there was any scene like dedicated to firmly establishing they are all buff
But
male
your
strippers.
Puritan ass only watched the censored version like a coward.
I'm not. I didn't even register that there was an uncensored version, but yeah, apparently there are there are nipples in this show that I did not see.
It's okay, you're literally missing nothing. These are like the ugliest nipples I've ever seen in an anime. They're like, I don't know if this is like supposed to be a character thing, because I didn't see a moment where I don't think I saw a moment where like there was another female character with their tits out, but at least for the elf girl, they're like weirdly bulbous. They look like they've been stung by bees and like weirdly swelled up.
Ooh,
It's
not
like
a good
really
description.
unflattering. It's weirdly like unflattering. Like they're they're like really the nipples themselves are like really bulbous and huge, and they look like they're swelled, but not in like a, oh, she has proportionally huge nipples to go with her huge breasts type shit. It's like they look like they got stung by bees and now swelled up from the stinging.
Neon, what
And
is it with women in anime wanting to fuck animals? Because first we had Inukai-san's dog, and then we had Buddha Reba, and now we have Beheneko, and I'm like, holy shit, I thought these women were Japanese, they're acting white.
Listen, it's only a matter of time before we get the horse anime, in which case
No!
we get
No, it's the Bosch anime! Horse! Horse!
Horse! Listen. It's only a matter of time before that we get a show about a dude who gets reincarnated as the Lady Knight's noble steed, and then like she sees his massive horse cock, and then gets impregnated with a gallon of horse semen. I don't know if they can actually discharge a gallon. I don't know how horse ejaculation works.
Well, you know what they say. There is no cock like horse cock.
Horse
Put
cock.
your asshole
Send your
into
asshole
shock.
into shock. Banger song. By the way, though, on the topic of girls wanting to fuck animals, it is not just implied like it is with Inukai until like the very end, which is outright confirmed. It is outright confirmed, and I skimmed episode 2 just because I wanted to see how trashy it got. I just opened the second episode and just mashed the fast forward key to see like, okay, where's like the questionable raunchy scenes. There's a scene where the two the elf girl and some dark skinned cat girl are bathing together with the cat, and they established that the cat is something called an elemental cat, which I guess is like the S ranked monster bit. And the cat girl says, "Oh, by the way, elemental cats have the ability to crossbreed with any species on the planet. So like if you really wanted to, as a joke, she says, if you really wanted to, and if you love him that much, you could bear his kids one day."
Tell that to someone. It's a
And then and then the elf girl, without a hint of irony or playing along with the joke, she just completely earnestly says, "Well, really? That's so cool. Okay, I think she just gave the cat their generic cat name of Tama. All right, Tama, grow big and strong for me, okay? That way I can give you my first." She wants to fuck the cat!
Bro, this bitch Shane Dawson reincarnated, dude. I can't. I
did have sex with my cat. I did ejaculate on my cat. I did put my vagina everywhere near my cat.
Why is anime like this?
Listen, man,
take me back to
you live isolated on an
babes.
island nation long enough, you start getting into some freaky shit.
Fair enough, I guess.
We gotta jumpstart that birth rate somehow.
I don't think this is how. I feel like this probably, if anything, negatively affected Japan's birth rate, if I'm being honest. If there was any effect this show was going to have on Japan's birth rate, it would be negative.
Hey man, you never know. Maybe there's like some freak out there who's like a closet pervert who finally feels the need to like shed it all out into the open, where she sees the scene of the girl tracing her finger along the stomach of the cat. Then she gets down to the crotch region, and it heavily implies messes with the genitals of the cat with her finger. Or, like, touches him at least.
What is this show? Why?
A crime, a sin, a blight.
Yeah. Those are accurate descriptions. Just the shot of her looking at the balls. With... She looks fascinated. She is blushing. Why?
Oh, yeah, that screen cap that you took for the thumbnail. Yeah, she's fascinated there. Then later in that same episode, she's like... Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. So I didn't even get to the sus parts. Comparatively speaking,
No,
it was already too sus for me.
Yep. I
Yeah,
can't wait for episode 12 to come out, whatever it does.
I
and
will
then just
say,
get pinned down.
This is better than Budareba, just because in Budareba, the guy was like an open pervert, and you had to hear his monologue constantly.
And he never shut the fuck up.
Also, the girl was, I'm pretty sure, a child in that show. So this is better than that.
And she, to my knowledge, I don't think ever expressed any romantic or sexual attraction to the pig.
I don't fucking know. I probably at some point down the line, but not in the first episode, I don't think.
All right, so at least they're teasing us, but not this show. This one's very bears all,
I mean,
including
I
the
say it's
ugliest
better
nipples
than
you've ever
Buddha-Reba,
seen.
but let's be real, that's not that's not
Is it
difficult.
better than Inukai's dog?
I feel like Inukai-san's dog is in this special place where it's so foul. Like we had that discovery session during the podcast where we learned about the future horrors of Inukai-san's dog, and it sort of loops back on itself to become so degenerate that I am like
I think about that
fascinated.
ending bit of the entire class just all sharing their fetishes together,
I think
and then
about
being
it
like,
too.
you know what? Now that we've all like shared our fetishes, our kinks and what we're into, you know what? Inukai wanting to have sexual relations with a dog is it really so bad?
I still think about that scene, and I feel like for being so fascinating in its pure degeneracy, it overtakes all of these other like weirdly bestiality promoting shows. I can't believe that's
at
a
least
genre.
at least Inukai's dog has like the hilarious amount of audacity to claim something like being sexually turned on by armpits and being sexually turned on by dogs are at all comparable.
Inukai-sen's dog is at least fascinating. This show is not. This show is just I
No.
want to turn it off.
but that darn cat keeps turning me on, says the elf girl. Listen, man, at some point you gotta blame how much fault lies on the cat for getting her all hot and bothered.
Oh my god.
At what point is the cat asking for it?
Shane Dawson, is that you?
Yeah, nah, this show is a fucking horrendous. Do not watch it. It's not even good for an X videos nudity compilation after, because all the nudity that I've seen has been unsexy.
Yeah, except for the cat. Goddamn.
Goddamn those cat balls, let me tell you.
Yeah, but is it better than possibly the greatest alchemist of all time? I mean, greatest is in the title, so surely it wouldn't let me down.
I mean, it's you say that, but possibly is also in the title, so it does leave that air
True.
of open to interpretation. It's not 100% confident in itself.
I'm gonna be real with you. I skimmed through this one, but I saw that he turns into a pondering orb, and I thought that was kind of funny.
I did see that moment, and I did pog, and I wrote down "be the orb I be pondering." And
he
then
also
the
tames
rest
the
of the show is
spider
white
later
noise.
on. The spider is cute, and as far as I can tell, doesn't turn
I
into
don't
a
think I
sexy
got-
lady at any point in the show, which I was stunned by. The Annulist
I don't
picture
think I
uses
got
a
to
picture
the
of the spider. Well, I didn't get to it. I skimmed through and somehow made it clicked far enough ahead to see the spider. I was like, oh, that's a
I am
cute
looking at the
spider.
spider's character page on Mal, and it does look. Oh no, she does turn into a girl.
Oh, she does? Oh, fuck off. Never mind.
Yeah,
This show is garbage.
I clicked on her pictures page, and granted, I do also like this design. Kind of, she gets white hair, red eyes, with like red little dashes to represent her other spider eyes.
Okay.
Where her eyebrows
Send
would
me
be.
a picture. That actually sounds kind of cute.
Here, let me. There we go. Bing, bang. I'll put in host only. Bada boom.
Yeah, I like the design.
I can't tell if the because it cuts off at her chest. I can't tell if that little black thing behind her is supposed to be the thorax, and like it's just like spider body, human top half. I hope it's not that.
That would be kind of weird. But
the spider design though, it is kind of nice actually.
yeah,
But yeah,
as
that's
far as
literally
I
all
can
have to
tell,
say.
he
I did.
doesn't immediately become overpowered. But I mean, that's not saying much. Let's be real. This show is dog shit. I skimmed through it. I'm trying to find compliments for something I barely watched.
It does have a blonde-haired, busty elf lady, so gotta give it props for that. But at the end of the day, no.
Nuh-uh. That's my final verdict on this show. But the next
But what
show
is
couldn't possibly be a nuh-uh.
even given the worthless appraiser class, I'm actually the strongest.
Let's see. All these titles are identical. Oh, it's this one. My only note for this is Rip Bozo.
My only note for this one is Sans Undertale.
Where the fuck is Sans Undertale come from? I'm not sure if it got far enough to know what you're referencing.
Look at the poster. Look at the poster of the show.
Oh god, I'll have to look at it again.
And look at the main dude.
I'm trying to copy paste the title because it's too fucking long. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying now. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
He's literally got the same eye colors.
Yeah, this one, he falls down a hole and has a just I already had the show sped up, but I was still astounded at how long he monologues to himself in pure self-pity, being like, if only I wasn't the weakest, man. It's all my fault. I was the weakest. I just wasn't strong enough. I can't believe I'm gonna die. It's all gonna end here. And he goes on and on. And I'm like, dude, we know you're gonna fall down to the bottom. And I was formulating theories like, oh, is the goddess gonna take pity on him? And like, I mean, that does end up happening. But I was formulating theories. All right, are we going the goddess route of she like spares him? Or is he gonna die and reincarnate? If so, get to the fucking bottom and die already, because I don't care about all your stupid self-pity. Yeah, there's not much to say about this show. It's just bad.
There is another blonde, big-titted elf girl, which is now becoming the norm, apparently.
Yeah, that is notable, I guess. Look, what do you want me to say?
I did like the design of the white-haired witch girl.
I feel like you got further than me. Let me see.
There's this white-haired witch girl with glasses and yellow eyes.
I see your character page on AniList. I do kind of like her design.
I wish it was in a better show.
Yeah,
a better show. Like, I left my A-rank party to help my former students reach the dungeon depths.
This show is such a good premise, but it's executed so poorly. I like the idea of, okay, you have this seasoned adventurer, some stupid fucking dispute happens where he's like, I'm not getting paid enough. And the show is like casting it, framing it as if the rest of the party is a bunch of jerkasses and he's in the wrong. But we actually don't know this. Maybe he was just not contributing. Maybe they're right to, say good fucking luck, just go and leave El Bozo. But the show wants us to believe that he's in the right. I don't even know why they bother with that, because it's so unnecessary. He didn't need to be scorned by his party. I guess the only reason is because his party is inevitably going to be stronger, and he's gonna, like, shove it in their face, like, hey, I'm strong now, and you're fucking useless without me. Fuck you. But then he forms this party with a bunch of people who he used to tutor. And, they're a bit stronger now, and he's, pretty strong. He's like, I'm gonna build you guys back up. I'm gonna put you up to snuff. It's such a good idea, but it's sauceless. It's absolutely bereft of any sauce.
I feel like I know it's not an exact 1-to-1, but like for this kind of premise, I think I'd rather like go back and watch more of that one native isekai about the dad who trained his daughter to be an adventurer. Now she's so much of a better adventurer than he is that she doesn't have time for him anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather watch that. But also, I mean, I didn't get far into this show. I saw the main character's design and immediately was like, nope, this ain't gonna be good. This is just... It's like the most John every anime that has ever existed. Like, he is cream of the crop, John every anime, and just being pure distilled genericness. Yeah, it's just... I love the premise, I really do, but in this show, it is wasted.
Well, you know what? There's one more show that does not waste its premise. Oh boy. Bogus Skill, which one is that? Greater than, or let's say, less than Fruitmaster, greater than colon. About that time, I became able to eat unlimited numbers of skill fruits, parentheses, that kill you.
Yeah, and there's also some tildes in here, on the version that you wrote in pins. Uh,
Apparently those tildes, don't exist anymore. That was just the
oh, okay.
pre-translation before it got an official English title.
Alright, let me see, which one is that on my notes? Here it
This one
is.
has another John every anime.
The title spoils the show, as usual with these isekai. He I'm just I'm just watching the show like, okay, he's gonna eat the fruit that gives him the thing. Oh wow, he becomes a guy who has a fruit skill. He's the fruit master. Oh, I wonder if he's going to be immune to the thing they set up where if you eat two of them you die. Oh, he is in fact immune to it. Wow, who could have seen this coming? Nobody could have. Who there's no way I'm seeing through the code.
The only way this show would have been funny is if he was gay. And then
I'm
they gave him the title the Fruit Master.
true. Well, see, the thing is, there are like this show is more competent than some of the other isekai, less competent than others, obviously, but more competent in that it at least attempts comedic timing. Like he's like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die. I feel warm all over. Oh, I'm fine." And like the music cuts out, and you're like, "Okay, that's like an attempt at directing, I guess. I mean, it's the bare minimum, but I mean, Neon, I'm struggling. I have to come up with compliments for this. It's not the worst thing ever. I actually okay. Here's something I unironically like: the Dotaru, the little white haired girl. The fact that he has a Dotaru is like better than most isekai because I'm tired of the harem of women who are in love with
But
him.
what if he fucks her?
Well, then it's the worst. Then it is absolutely no die, quit Usagi dropping me. Uh yeah, I mean, so long as they do not get together, it is a very wholesome dynamic, I guess. Like, she's very cute with her little, like, spell monocle. I like that.
I'm looking at that now. That is pretty cute.
Yeah, this show is surprisingly watchable on 1.5 slash 2 times speed, but on normal speed, I would want to die.
I mean, even on 1.5 speed, it's crazy that you say that, considering on Mal, it has one of the lowest scores of the season, has a 5.94.
I mean, it's not undeserved, let's be real. I mean, even with how much I complimented it, I'm just trying to come up with something to say that doesn't hold true for all the other isekai, which is the elephant in the room that they're generic isekai. Of course they're not good. 5.9 is completely deserved.
Let's see. Yeah, no, I've got no other notes for the show. Yeah, I'm ready to move on if you are.
I am definitely ready to move on. I did not see these next 3 shows, so you're gonna have to lead us.
The next 3.
Yeah, Red
Okay,
Ranger,
go.
Promise of Wizard, and Magic Maker.
Okay, so Red Ranger, I did actually watch the entire first episode at regular speed. As far as isekai go, if we use the isekai bell curve, this one's firmly in the green. By the virtue of it's spoofing Sentai and Power Ranger stuff by virtue of putting it through a lens of isekai. And even then, it's kind of cheating because, but when I say putting it through the lens of an isekai, it's basically this one mage girl with a big purple witch hat, huge tits, and an exposed midriff is just kind of straight man lampooning all of the Sentai tropes. Like, how come when you transform, something always explodes behind you? Or how come every time you beat a monster, they always explode no matter what you do? Even if you just punch them, they just explode instantly. Like, hey, where did this giant robot come from? Why are you so hung up on, like, the power of friendship?
It sounds like a pretty
It's
basic parody.
it is. It's not anything very clever. Uh, as you expect, the sole female character falls for the Red Ranger. Uh, there's on the surface, like surface level, there's nothing like unique about it outside of the premise of, oh, it's an isekai, but this time the Red Ranger, leader of a Power Ranger Sentai squad, gets isekai'd, and he uses his ranger powers, nothing else, to fight the magic people and the monsters. And it's watchable by only because like the Red Ranger dude is like such a caricature of a shonen Red Ranger protagonist, of being like he's all about forging relationships. Like this their rangers are like these rangers are all about like the bonds. All of his attacks are like named after like relationships, and they fight the evil army of the relationship enders and their evil leader, the breakup king. where and they fight him using different attacks like the marriage maelstrom, or the proposal pot shot, or the engagement blaster. It's very
All right, the commitment to the bit is pretty funny from how you're describing
yes.
it.
They do commit to the bit hard, and like he never wavers in his like belief that like all relationships are like to be cherished and savored and upheld and will never be broken up. And it's like kind of in a similar vein to the what the fuck Guild Receptionist show and the Welcome to Japan Miss Elf show. It's like watchable, but it's not doing anything special. And of those three shows, I would continue this one the least. Least likely to be continuing this one.
I don't know, man. Okitsura clears, it sounds like.
There was also an ugly ass PS2 CG dragon that was coming in.
Okay, well, that
at the very end, which
sours it.
Considering that they have a big CG Megazord that honestly doesn't even look all that bad by CG standards, kind of made me wish the entire show was CG, just so that way when it looks like they're gonna have the Red Ranger has the Megazord, even, which is weird because he can call upon all of the other Ranger Zords in his group, even though that I don't think many Rangers can do that. Like he doesn't just get his own personal Red Ranger Zord. He can call upon all of them to summon the Megazord, and he brings the Witch Girl with him into the Megazord and uses their friendship bond to fight together to power it. And like given that it looks like they're going to be doing like the Sentai thing where they're going to have a Zord fight at least like once an episode, made me think, well, damn, it sounds like you should have just made this entire show CG, so that way when you do the CG battles, it's not as jarring and out of place.
Yeah, sounds better than most of the isekai.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna go ahead and blaze through these next two because these are like shit tiered and not even worth talking about. Promise of Wizard. So let me get this straight. I'm somewhere that's not what I would call Earth. I'm seeing freaking wizards, and oh yeah, I'm talking to a hat. Yeah, okay, that's something I do now.
Is that seriously the opening monologue?
No, I ripped that from the copy pasta of Forspoken.
I've never heard of any of that.
You remember the game Forspoken?
Dude, you think you always every time you have one of these things where you're like, oh my god, I can't believe you don't know what this is. It's always a game. When will you learn that I'm not a gamer?
I know you're not okay, but you should have like remember it was the game with like the legendarily bad writing.
No, I've never heard of it. I don't pay attention to any gaming news, Neon. I just play Minecraft all day.
This one was making the rounds of how like legendarily bad it was.
Bruh.
Hold on. Does this image look at all familiar to you?
All right, let me check this out. No,
Okay.
never seen it in my
Well,
life.
darn. That is astounds me. Okay, well, just know it's a I think 2023 game, and it was like it has some of the worst writing you've ever seen in your life. And it was a AAA game. I think Square Enix developed it.
All right, well,
Or
considering
Square
that I
adjacent
immediately
studio.
went, is that really what the opening monologue is? It's probably pretty bad.
Yeah, no, that line was taken from a trailer for the game,
Oh, bruh.
and it's like meme to hell because it's like it's so awkward and stilted. But anyway, yeah, some girl gets transported to a world of magic. It's a fucking Fujo wizard show. There's like no other female characters. It's all gonna be about which wizard guy is gonna fuck this girl. One of the characters' name is Cock Robin, which made me laugh audibly.
What, Robin?
Cock.
I thought I
I'm not
misheard you for a second.
No, I was trying to like see if my subtitles were wrong, but no, I looked it up. Cock Robin.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that was the highlight of the show, and then everything else was just like boring Fujo wizard politics, so I turned it off. Very much so to how I turned off Magic Maker, How to Make Magic in Another World, because I'm not really that much into incest.
Hey, oh, wait, hold on. I should have watched this one? Is that what you're saying?
Although
You
I will
have my
say it's
attention?
definitely some of the blame has to go onto the older sister, because when when the baby brother was a baby and she was like a child, she gave him a kiss on the forehead or the cheek, and because she should have known that this was actually a 30-year-old man reborn as a baby.
Okay, wait, hold on, you're making it sound real fucking weird. Maybe I don't want to watch this show.
It was her. She should have known that, because now she made him, as a reincarnated man, as a baby, fall in love with her despite their newfound blood relation. So who's really to blame here?
That Okay, so hold on. Let me get this straight. He's like an old fart in a baby's body, and he's gonna grow up and still be in love with her. And from her perspective, dating him would be like grooming him, but it's not actually because he's an adult in a baby's body.
Yes.
So maybe I don't want to watch this show. Maybe. Just potentially.
It would have been kind of wholesome if they portrayed it as if they axed that aspect of it entirely, of the dude was reincarnated and it was just a kid who wanted to be good at magic, and wanted to just be the best at magic, and then they just developed this wholesome sibling relationship. But no, we gotta be weird. We gotta be degenerate.
It's anime and isekai no less. You can't expect normal things. Oh god.
Yeah, but now we're on to the last three shows, all of which are, I would say, as a collection, the most interesting as a group. Because next up we got Ameku MD Doctor Detective. Well, welcome back, House.
Finally, we're past the onslaught of garbage and onto something. I was surprised that I made it through this entire episode in one time speed.
I liked this show. I genuinely
did too. I was stunned at how, because my notes for this were very funny.
Everyone is right. This is literally just Anime House,
but with a supernatural twist. So I've heard, and especially with the ending of the episode where she's like, "Oh yeah, a T-Rex bit his leg off." Of course. I mean, a plain as day.
I was curious about that. That was an interesting like episode 1 cliffhanger, to be like, what the fuck could she possibly have meant by that? And like, why would this guy have blue blood and have been bitten off, his leg bitten off by a T-Rex of all things? That just can't be, unless the show is gonna like hard left turn wildly into, oh, there's like a shadow cabal that's like resurrecting dinosaurs, Jurassic Park is real, and we're gonna bust like a fucking Jurassic Park crime ring.
Well, Okay, so the description of the manga on AniList says, I don't have the exact quote, but something like ghosts, kappas, like we investigate them all. Something like that. So she's specializes, it seems, in these weird, impossible sounding cases that are presumably something to do with the supernatural. Which I dig
I'm
that
really
premise.
hoping that it's not actually the supernatural. I hope it's like a Scooby Doo thing where it can all just be explained away, and
That
it's
would
using the
also be
guise of the
great, to be fair.
supernatural to throw people off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in this show enough. I would give it another episode.
I
I'm
would do too.
completely down with that. And
Yeah, who
something
made this
funny
show?
about my notes for this episode is they all start off like really cynical, really negative, being like, there's no way this is gonna be good. Admittedly, the production values aren't stellar. They aren't spectacular, and I pointed that out pretty quickly. And the beginning is fine. It's better than, the show just expositing, she is the greatest detective of all time. Instead, it like shows her actually solving two cases, not detective cases, but figuring out like what people's symptoms are and what causes it.
Yeah,
Like one kid was
she's
eating
doing
all
the
those
house
fucking
thing where
blueberries.
she's doing the house thing where she's using like an analysis and like psychological analysis of people and observational skills crossed with her medical degree to properly diagnose people. Like she was able to determine like with just a few tidbits of information and observation that that kid had like like hyper vitamin A itis or whatever the fuck from an overdose of vitamin A in his system, and that old dude had a parasite because he ate some fish because he's a fisherman, and she was able to tell that by the fishing hook esque wound on his hand and the tanning from his fisherman hat.
Yeah. Uh yeah, I'm just kind of surprised at how like all my all my notes, I think at the beginning they were super negative and cynical, and then at the end with the T-Rex twist, cuz I stopped taking notes for a bit because I was too entertained. I put at the end, bro is just making shit up at this point. And then afterwards said, "Wait, why are all my notes negative? I actually enjoyed this."
uh yeah, I love how her house is just built on top of the hospital's
That was
building roof.
cool. That was funny.
And I love how like the reason that she was like counting the seconds till her student's like protege is uh off until his shift so they can watch fucking Jurassic Park together, because a T-Rex museum, I love that is a thing that they also worked into the episode as not just like a throwaway line, but also worked it into the ongoing mystery, which I appreciated. But there was a T-Rex museum opening with dinosaur bones, and that led to a conversation about Jurassic Park. And then the guy was like, "Yeah, I've never seen Jurassic Park." She's like, "What the fuck?" And like we're watching Jurassic Park immediately. It's a fucking classic, you heathen.
Yeah, I like the main girl detective lady. She honestly, just seeing any super confident detective with a lot of swagger, I just instantly like that archetype for some reason. I mean, obviously, there's some anime that do it exceedingly poorly, but this is one of those rare times where I'm like, you know what? I buy into this. I also like that
Yeah,
she's
it may have
tiny.
taken. Yeah, I also love how she fragrantly disregards some stuff, like, she does the house thing where it's like she's flagrantly disregarding a bunch of like protocols and regulations, even down to what she wears. That motherfucker wears open-toed shoes in a hospital.
I didn't even notice that, but yeah, that's what the fuck. I also love the disclaimer at the beginning. This show might not follow medical procedure accurately. Please do not take this as medical advice. And I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Is at Crunchy, it may have taken like 6 or 7 shows in a row, but we finally found a good one. Let me just check out who made this one.
Oh, you cut out?
Project number 9.
Oh. Oh,
It
now
was
I understand.
Project Number 9?
I didn't even know. Why does it not look like complete garbage then? I mean, it doesn't look great.
Oh my.
But it doesn't look like complete ass.
Tony Stark meme. Why is the writing good?
I mean, the writing being good isn't as surprising because Tomazaki, but I'm assuming they're just cribbing from a good source material here.
Yeah, it's based on a novel.
Okay, never mind. I'm not watching the anime. I'm reading the novel. You had me at novel and reading.
But I can't believe it. Project Number 9 made a show that's not a steaming pile of fucking shit.
Yeah, I haven't done that since Tomazaki. But I'll probably read the novel anyway, now that I know that that's what it comes from. Because this sounds like it'd be a killer novel.
I can't believe we found... This is my AVGN playing fucking Spider-Man Maximum Carnage and finally finding a good LJN game. This is my LJN Maximum Carnage.
Yeah, I do not have much else to say. It is just a solid show all around.
Yeah, it's also been gaining a lot of traction in the anime community purely off the basis of its anime house.
I have not seen anything from House, by the way. So
I think you would like it because it's literally this show, but with faster pacing. And imagine if this doctor lady was just as confident, but she was also kind of like a condescending dick, like Rick from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I could see myself enjoying that.
Yeah, the House is great. It's also gotten a fucking... It seems like it's gotten some kind of a resurgence and recent popularity because I'm pretty sure it was from the late 2000s. How long did it go for? Okay, it started in... Wow, that actually way longer than I thought. It started in 2004 and ended in 2012. So primarily a 2000s show, but it's gotten like a resurgence in popularity in the past year.
All right, I might actually check it out. Maybe.
Yeah,
or
I do
maybe
recommend
I'll wait
it.
2
It
years.
is good. It is good. It's a literally just a doctor solving a bunch of like seemingly impossible to decipher medical cases using like very unorthodox methods. Like it doesn't matter like how rare the condition and like how unexplainable it seems. He's able like to figure it out by the end.
I do like me a good mystery show, so that is an appealing premise.
Yeah, speaking of appealing premises, Tasokare Hotel.
This is another one that stunned me.
Yeah, I am very much in love with the premise of this show. It's about this girl who is been killed by I forget, did we like ever find out for sure what killed her?
She got stabbed.
Okay.
We see that in the first scene.
Oh, I didn't see... I saw she was bleeding out, but I didn't realize she was
I'm pretty sure she was stabbed.
I thought she was like... I kind of guess she was like hit by a truck or something in classic isekai fashion.
Let me rewatch the... Because I did think it was going to turn into an isekai at first. I mean, it kind of is.
Depending on your definition.
Yeah, but it's like not the shitty usual isekai.
I didn't hear any slicing sounds. I don't think they ever like focused on a single wound. Or like,
I'm rewatching the scene right now. So yeah, no, they show the knife like full frame.
Oh.
It's
okay,
let me show you the screen cap.
I was at work, so I did watch this at work. So maybe I like looked away at the wrong time when I booted up the episode.
It is definitely a knife.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess I missed. Granted, I will say the lighting in that shot's really bad.
True. That's fair enough.
It's really ugly looking, kinda. But that does not become a problem after she gets transported to the hotel. Yeah. Well, then, while this girl is dying, she wakes up in a hotel in purgatory that helps departed souls decide if they're ready for like the world of the dead or if they want to return to the realm of the living. And they do things like they go around rooms to find objects of their past, help them remember who they were, like remember lost names or like come to terms with their death. They're guided by fellow members of the hotel who had also perished, and like this cool fire butler dude.
Yeah, it is such a great uh location for a show. And I kind of wish they nixed the whole opening scene because I don't think we needed it. I think it would have been more mysterious to just plant us in, this place between the living and the dead and be like, wait, what? Where am I?
I'm kind of upset we like now know for sure why she died. Well, at least we know the method, we don't know the reason, but uh
Yeah. I mean, maybe
I'm
through
still
some freak thing she lived the knife wound somehow, but that doesn't seem
maybe it was
plausible.
never even murder to begin with. Maybe it was suicide. Maybe it was an accident of oh boy, I slipped on a banana peel and I happened to land on this knife. Darn, unlucky.
See, I feel like that would have been better because it just makes the beginning mu- once again much more mysterious, and I think like just opening there, it leaves a lot of questions in your mind. And also you don't I've seen so many shows that open on like, oh, and then violence happened. Are you paying attention yet, viewer? I'm kind of sick of shows that open like that. At least build up to the violence for a little bit. But everything else about this show slaps. And it's also an anime original. There is no manga to
It,
turn to. If you
it
want
is an original, which I did appreciate.
a good anime original, shame that people are mad underrating it.
Actually, is this an original? It's according to Mal, this is based off a game.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. I just saw that there was no manga or novel it was pointing to on Annie list.
Let me look at news real quick to see. Yeah, it's a smartphone game.
Well, whatever. No one's gonna play the smartphone game anyway.
You are right. You're not wrong.
It might as well be an anime original. Yeah, like at first I didn't like the shade over her eyes, where I was like, oh, are they gonna do that for the whole episode? And I, made a note about it. And then she, discovers the object in her room that's like, oh, I went to this concert. Oh, I remember things now. Because the point is that when they're at this hotel, they're like slowly, remembering what happened when they were on Earth. Because when they get there, they don't remember. And when she figures out like her name, it shows through a student ID card that she later finds. It shows her face for the first time, and I was like, "Oh, that's a nice reveal." And it works into the show later because later there's someone with their face completely obscured by this card, something to do with fortune telling. And when she figures out her name, it uh like there's a bunch of cards that come off of her and it like fly onto the ground, and then it reveals her face for the first time, which I like that a lot because it gives the show an excuse to be really abstract and weird when it wants to with its character designs, which makes it's extremely entertaining to watch.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get that far.
What? Okay, what happened?
Okay, so I got to the part where we finally get to see her face, which I was also getting annoyed with the fact that her face was going obscured hentai protagonist mode for the longest time. I was like, oh, okay, finally they uncovered her face. But then they kept talking and they kept talking, and then I remember there's being something about an old man that was also at the hotel who was like trying to figure out something about his past. And then they kept talking and they kept talking, and I think I just kind of zoned out to the point I was like staring at the screen like white noise, being like, this is boring.
So you're wrong again, 2 times in the same podcast. This show, it's not in the top 3. I'll say that much. But I am totally down to watch another episode of this because it is such a wacky premise. There's this one girl who I think helps prepare the food in the hotel, that the main character really like just thinks is adorable, and she's like disgusted by her, which I think is an endearing dynamic. And we get introduced to, wacky characters, the guy with the flames on his head. I just like the idea, and I am excited to see where it goes. And the main plot of this show, it seems, is that it's about basically at the end, the main character decides I'm a be staff at this hotel. I'm gonna work here until I figure out my own pass. And the idea is that she's helping people, depart to either the afterlife or return to their bodies. And we actually, it is completely plausible for them to still be alive, because as it turns out, at the end of the first episode, the girl who, has the card for a face, who, they eventually reveal, she was still alive. She was just knocked out. And so, like, she got knocked out literally so hard, her soul didn't know whether she was alive or dead. Turns out she is alive, presumably in a coma, in a hospital. But it's about uncovering, like, who these people are and what their pasts are and why they're here and whether they're dead or not. And I assume if they're dead, like, there's a grieving process they're in. Because there's one point where the main character says, like, this guy who also works at the hotel, he's like, oh man, you're pretty chill. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm terrified. Just in a completely deadpan voice. And I love the idea that she's like completely covering it up, but deep down, I imagine at some point she's going to have to confront the fact that she's probably dead and she'll probably have to depart to the afterlife. If I had to guess how this show ends, which is pretty exciting. I'm down to see where this goes.
I just don't think it's for me. I found it. I don't really have any like deeper notes aside from the dialogue was getting kind of boring. The directing was getting kind of boring. It was like
I wish the
flat,
directing was more cinematic. That was a persistent thing I thought throughout the show.
The premise was very cool, and I do like it a lot. I just think the execution was getting so unbearably boring that I was just like drifting off, and I was like, this isn't the most fair thing to say because there were a bunch since I was watching it at work and I work at a TV station where I could be easily distracted by the 8 other shows and networks going on at the same time. Maya just kind of drifted up to a sitcom that was more interesting and fun to watch. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is clearly not like worth my time anymore.
I mean, to be fair, it's no Okitsura.
Yeah, you are right. I feel like I would have ended up liking Okitsura more than this.
Damn, I'm actually convincing him. This is crazy. We're making progress.
We'll see. I'll report back to you. But well, now it comes to the time where we bring the podcast full circle now. Sorairo Utility was a TV special back in 2021, and now it's a TV show in 2025, and a pretty good one at that.
Neon, I have a confession to make. I thought this show was fucking boring.
You thought it was boring? I liked it.
I thought it was really boring. Don't get me wrong.
I do have one criticism, and that is directed towards Minami's voice actress. I can't tell if well, here, let me pull up her voice so I can compare her to other characters so I can that she's done, so I can know if it was bad voice direction or bad casting. Okay, she doesn't really have a lot of accolades, and not a lot of her only like main character roles are for fucking Wake Up Girls and D4DJ. So I'm gonna go with actor on this one because there are other characters who give better performances. Minami sounded bored and did not emote as much as her character was acting like she should be emoting.
I did not really pick up on that. I might go back and listen to her at some point.
Like, it was weird. Like,
but
she was giving like a shy monotone performance, but not in the way of like a like a kudere who only talks like this and does not like allow herself to get more emotional. She's just like she's always like stuck like in this shy girl voice that is trying to get across what she's trying to say, but even when her body is like clearly doing extreme anime things, like when she's dragging someone's soul back into his body to make sure that he doesn't ascend to heaven and die, like her voice doesn't escape this kind of range, and she still just sounds like this shy, meekish anime girl.
Uh, I'm listening to her. I'm not sure if I have as much of an issue with her voice as you do. What I had more of an issue with was the boomer as fuck dialogue they gave her. The most boomer dialogue I have ever seen in a while. In a while.
Are you talking about how she constantly refers to things as like in gamer terminology?
Oh, I'm gonna be just villager A if I don't find something to define myself by. Oh, that would be the worst.
Well, she's
it's
the
just
only
like
person who
pulling in
talks
a
like that in the
gacha
shows.
game.
I think
It's
I
so
think that's
annoying.
purposeful. I think it's supposed to highlight how much of a fucking loser she is.
Maybe, but
Dude, the show
really
introduces her by being like, "Oh no, my favorite mobile game that I've sunk all this time and money into is ending. I have nothing to show for my life
do
now."
think that's funny, but I feel like there were. I just don't think. Okay, so Tomazaki, for example, which I brought up earlier, but this was another thing that reminded me of it, which is that in that show, the gamer dialogue, it is partially just Yukiyaku being kind of a boomer, but it works in the context of the show because he is such a cringelord. Like, so explicitly a cringelord that when he says something, cringe gamer lingo, you're like, yeah, that tracks. That makes sense. I don't even question it. And here it's like, I can see where you're coming from with it being the same thing, but I feel like there were just more ways to show her being a loser than for her to just say cringe gamer stuff every once
we
in a
also
while.
see her being a girl failure at all the extracurricular club activities she tries to
That's not her
join.
being a girl failure, that's just her not being good at athletics.
Dude, she fucked up sewing. That's like the one thing as a woman you're not supposed to fuck that and cooking.
Damn, I didn't know we were getting misogynistic here. But I don't see that as girl failure. I really don't.
What do you mean? She fucked up at not just athletics. She fucked up at
sure. She's comically bad
sewing,
at all
cooking.
these things, but I don't think her characterization is really that strong. I really don't. I thought she was kind of a boring lead.
I disagree
in this episode.
entirely.
I don't look at that and go like, oh yeah, she's like they're going so far to give her such unique traits of being a girl failure. She's just comically bad at things. Like yeah. And I don't find that
highlighted with the fact that now that the one thing that she thought she was good at, the mobile game, is gonna end. Now she's got to touch grass and get some bitches, but she's not unable to do that because she has no other skills in life. She found out.
I just feel like there were ways to accentuate this that were more compelling, and I will
say
the montage of her failing at things is like kind of cool, but the moment-to-moment dialogue. All right, here's my thesis on this show. The dialogue is so fucking boring. The dialogue is so bland.
I disagree entirely. I watched the whole show at one speed, had a good time watching it. I appreciated the subtle Yuri injections.
See, I noticed that, and I agree. And I did watch it on 1 speed, don't get me wrong. But this show, it's not that funny. The dialogue is not that endearing. There's like cringy gamer lingo.
It is cringe. I think it's purposefully cringy. She literally phrased it like, I want to become the protagonist of my own life.
But then the girl who she's golfing with cribs on her terminology and says, yeah, let's make you the protagonist. And it's like,
well, she doesn't drop gamer lingo all the time too. She's like just being encouraging of her.
I guess, but I just winced. I was like, don't say it like that anyway, but like that.
I think she's just trying to like meet her halfway and be like, okay, like she's probably just like being encouraging, being like, "Yeah, you do that, girl."
I intellectually get that that's probably what she's going for, but at the same time, it's just I really don't
I
think the characterization for the main character is that good. Like everything you're
also
saying, I
refresh.
feel like you have
I will
more.
say.
It feels to me like you have more of a headcanon of what the character is than what she actually is.
Well, okay, I will say this. I have not seen the TV special that we watched way back when, since that podcast. But I don't remember Minami being that much of a gamer in that TV special. I
Me neither.
remember
Yeah.
I don't remember the dialogue being this fun though. Like, definitely there's a lot more flow to it. There's a lot more balance. The humor is been turned up. I once again really like the bit of when she's coming to help the 80-year-old dude with his golf bag. And how he's like, "Oh, you must be an angel. It must finally be my time to escort to heaven." And his soul starts leaving his mouth through his body, and she just pushes it back into his mouth, like, "No, don't die."
That was
Like,
like the
that's
one funny bit
adorable.
of the episode. I'll give you that.
The directing, I love the bit where Haruka is like talking about how, oh yeah, this game is for old, children and the elderly alike, no matter how like old or batty they might seem. And she opens her eyes like to spirals because she realizes her boss is like standing right in front of her, being like, "Oh, it's time for your shift."
I just don't think I got nearly as much out of this as you did.
The
Because
directing is fun. The art and expressions for the show are great. You gotta agree with that.
I do agree with that. I just wish they were for a show whose writing and humor I vibed with a lot more than this show. Like I really it's hard to articulate. It
It's
really is.
it's no new game, but it is a cute. It's cute. It's funny. If only there were a compound word for that.
Oh.
Uh, but it's definitely enjoyable. I think it's very much underrated. It does not deserve the sub 7 score, and it's criminally underseen. It only has 13,000 users on Mal right now. What does that put at the popularity? Like, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, 39, 42nd. It's 42nd on the popularity chart behind fucking Momentary Lily. Like, come on.
It doesn't deserve to be that low down because isekai, there 42 has to include a few of them. But this show is just it's
well,
really
let us not
boring.
forget Star Pictures and its director Kengo Saito. What this is his passion project. This is his baby. He made that TV special way back when. Since then, they made a whole bunch of smartphone gotcha game anime to, I can only presume, bankroll the passion project. And then this is finally it. And is it a masterpiece right out of the gate? No. Is it very cute and enjoyable to watch? I think so.
I wish I could say the same, but I thought the humor just wasn't that great. The dialogue was kind of whatever, and I don't like the main character, just straight up.
I think you need to give another chance. I think I'll give Okitsura more of a shot if you give Sorairo Utility more of a shot.
I gave it an entire episode at 1x no less.
Come on, man. We have yet to get to the the golf YouTuber.
Maybe I'll give it another shot after I've seen all 12 episodes of Okitsura, because that show is peak and you're wrong.
Cute girls doing golf things.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want to learn about Okinawa instead. I just want to see tan babes.
I think the girls in the show are cuter than the girls in Okitsura.
I've only seen 2 of them so far, but the others are probably on the character pages.
I think Haruka is insanely hot. I love her design. I love how like it's like relatively basic. It's like brown eyes, brown hair, and yet the way she's drawn and her personality just makes her stand out all the more.
I really
She-
like
she's got that-
Minami's design. Haruka's I'm actually not as big on.
I like Minami's design more aesthetically overall, just blue. But yeah, this is a cute girl show. They're doing golf things, and it's of the other golf girl games like Girls Golf Story or Oid Tonbo. That this one's the best, and I'm very much looking forward to watching more of it.
I wish I was. And
All
with
right,
that,
well, with that, we have now seen all of the shows from winter 2025. What'd you think of the season overall?
there was a lot of redemption in the second block, but overall, I mean, even the good shows just weren't great for the most part. There was one, and it was Okitsura, and you're wrong. But other than that, like, all the other shows, I mean, Medalist, I'm sure, is great as a manga. Don't get me wrong. But I'd rather read the manga, and I think that's an issue. And I think overlooking it's... I mean, once again, like we said, oh, it's not a bad-looking show, but it doesn't look great for this adaptation. I feel like I'd just get a better experience from reading a book. Read a book, guys. That's what the season taught me.
Read a book.
Yeah, I feel like that's what's holding
Yeah.
back a lot of these, otherwise good shows is just have better
Production.
animation, have better production values. Actually, dude,
What
Sakamoto
would you
Days
say is
was
the
such a letdown.
is the best looking
visually.
show of this entire season?
Of this entire season?
I think it might be Zenshu, honestly.
Oh, Zenshu. Yeah, I was I was having to think on it, but now that you've reminded me of Zenshu, absolutely. Like unquestionably Zenshu. After that, it's like pretty neck and neck between Okitsura and Sorairo Utility for me. And then after that, they're just kind of all the same.
I mean, there's definitely levels to it. Like,
yeah, there's levels.
Medalist is not the best looking show, but it's definitely more good than bad.
But I feel like this season in particular, what was frustrating is that a lot of the shows visually hit that bar of like bare minimum. They hit the bare minimum bar, and so I couldn't say they were ugly. But after a point, I kind of hit the point where it's like, okay, but if you're not going to go above and beyond, why bother? Like, come on, guys, no, I'm not going to say effort because that's so reductive and genuinely rude to the people who are putting effort into these shows. But put more time into it.
The production committees.
Yeah, the production committees are at fault. They're not planning their shows right. If we just
make
Zenshu...
half the amount of shows every season, and put
Zenshu level visuals into Sakamoto Days instead of Zenshu. Come on, guys.
And Medalist.
And
I have a crush at work.
and that. All the good shows writing wise should have gotten that. All the staff that had to animate cat balls in Beheneko should have been working on all the other good shows.
Yeah, that is the recurring theme of this season, isn't it? Wasted potential due to poor visuals, or at least substandard visuals compared to their source material.
I know you have a beef with me putting Okitsura above Medalist, but when the manga for Medalist exists and is absolutely better, I'm sick of putting shows ahead of other shows when there's like a clear, for these not so great looking shows, there's a manga.
I feel like I would rather
read
the Okitsura manga. If we even if I would want to rather read the Medalist manga than watch the anime, I'd apply the same thing to the Okitsura manga.
I think Okitsura passes the bar visually. I just flatly disagree with you on that. But yeah, it's just Sakamoto Days in particular. That one hurts. That one hurts so badly. Because I thought it was going to look great, and then it did not look very good.
Well, what can you do? Maybe one day we'll finally get not 30 shows every season.
Yeah, make it like we only need like 10 of these. Come on, guys.
Yeah. All right, well, I guess all that's left now is to go over our top and bottom 3 of the season. Crunchy, why don't you start us off?
All right, I guess I'll start off with the bottom 3. So, the third worst anime this season that I'm choosing is Medaka Kuroiwa. Uh I forget the full title of the show. I just wrote these down hastily. Medaka Kuroiwa is impervious to my charms. There we go. I thought this show was gonna be alright. I thought it was gonna be a wholesome, fun time. It was not. And I think for tricking me, it deserves the third spot. The main girl is completely unrealistic, acts like no human being ever would, and it's exceedingly repetitive, even in the little bit I watched of it. Number
What are you
2,
talking about, Crunchy? Didn't you have a girl in high school chasing after you because you didn't give her the attention she was seeking, so she pinned you down and stripped in front of you?
now that you mention it, you've actually unlocked a suppressed memory. I think that did happen. But number 2, I'm getting married to a girl I hate in my class. Another really bad rom-com. The premise is stupid. Uh, it's literally the most basic light novel rom-com that you could fathom. And yeah, it just sucks. Main girl's a tsundere, that's all you need to know. Now, the only reason why I put these two on the list is because we've made a rule in this podcast. We don't put more than one isekai on the bottom 3, because otherwise it'd just be isekai every single year, let's be real. So this is the worst of the isekai right here, and this is the only one of the bottom 3 I knew, even before I wrote it down. Like, instantly knew this would be on the list. Beheneko. Just it's not even that it's the least fun to watch. I'm sure that more generic isekai would be infinitely more boring, and even in some ways more painful, but in other ways, more important ways, in my opinion, Beheneko is much more painful. And I feel like just conceptually, just from the idea, from the core idea alone, just on principle, it needs to be the worst isekai. Because it's just like, what are you doing? Why is this what we've come to as a society, as an anime industry? Why does this exist? The answer
Come
is it
on, Crunchy. Why
shouldn't.
can't you just let people enjoy things? Why can't you just
I'll let you enjoy
let
things
people
up
enjoy
to a
their
point, but this is where I draw the line. This is where I
Why
make
can't you just
I
let
make a
people
firm
enjoy
stance.
their I want to get pegged by my cat fantasies?
The fact that that sentence even had to be said in this podcast, it really says something. I feel, and personally, once again, it's not even the one that I'd least want to watch because there is a morbid curiosity, but I can tell based on that first episode, it is it is gonna be painful. Just once again, principally, all the other boring ones, they're more boring just because they're the same as all the others, but Beheneko is uniquely bad. And for that, it deserves the top spot. Alright, so for my top 3, the number 3 spot, this is the one that was the hardest. This could go to a few different shows, in all honesty. Like, if I could wake up tomorrow and give this to a different one. But right now, I have it written down as Ameku MD, just for being really surprising in how much I enjoyed it. Sure, I think I'll go ahead and read the novel, but it's not even, mandatory like with Sakamoto Days, where if you don't read the manga, what are you doing? It's not a super good looking show, but it looks passable. And for this type of show, the visuals are fine. It's whatever. It doesn't need to look stunning to be surprisingly good in its writing. And personally, I was very surprised by it. It took me off guard with how much I liked it. I had a good time with it. Number 2, Medalist. It it's difficult to put this here just because it's a big read the manga moment, but even still, like, it looks, once again, passable. It looks completely fine. If you watched the anime, you would not be offended by how it looks. And the story it's telling, I think, is solid. Even if I had my quibbles with how the first episode went, I'm sure that as it goes on, it will find its footing more and more. And the core ideas that it's messing with are good. And seeing as the manga has a really good track record, I am hype to read the manga instead. I'm not gonna watch the anime, but I will read the manga. And number 1, fuck you, Neon. It's Okitsura. I don't care what you say. I don't care what arguments you put up against me. They're all worthless in the face of the true, stunning beauty of Okitsura's writing. I want to learn about Okinawa. Uh, yeah, it's good. It's good. That's all. I
I
feel like
mean,
I went on long enough in the actual Okitsura section. It's really good.
I guess we're all entitled to our stupid, incorrect opinions.
Okitsura is. Don't you want to learn about Okinawa? It's so fun. It's so funny. It's so charming. I really like the characters, even in the first episode. You're wrong. You're just wrong. It's this is probably the most we've disagreed on a seasonal in a long time.
Probably. So my bottom three, uh, I'd say third worst is I'm getting married to a girl I hate in my class, just because I think it's oddly mean spirited for a rom com. Uh, it's not even in a enemies to lovers type way. That's like kind of wholesome. It's just where you're being enemies forced into lovers by outside factors.
I got married to this stupid bitch by force, and now I hate my life. I would read that light
And
novel.
yeah, and everything that's like leading up to the events of it, like, oh, I wonder if the cousin is going to want to bang her cousin. I wonder if the blonde bimbo bitch is also gonna be in love with the Rizless dude.
I wonder.
Yes, second worst, Bob, God damn it, Baban Vampire. If only because I'm not trying to watch the Groomer show.
I didn't watch that one, but it's probably on the bottom 3, let's be real, if I did watch it.
Yeah, I ain't trying to watch a vampire. Like, as funny as the premise sounds, like if it just weren't about sex, if it were about literally anything else, it would be there's something there, but not like that, not like that. And yeah, number one worst of all the isekai, I gotta agree with you. There's probably a worse show to like watch from start to finish, but none of them will make me feel like I need a shower more than Beheneko.
All right.
Why
I
does
mean,
she?
we
Why does she want
shared.
to get? Why does she verbally admit to wanting to get pinned down and fucked by her cat?
Don't remind me of the specifics.
At least with Inukai-san's dog, she was like, she obviously wanted to, but she never said the quiet part out loud until like the very end.
Yeah, I am surprised that we share 2 shows in our bottom 3. I guess great minds think alike, except when it matters most with Okitsura.
All right. Well, as for my top three, third best, I went back and forth on the third best lock because my top two were an easy lock because there weren't a lot of like outright bangers this season. Just a lot of stuff that's held back by production. Uh, well, ironically, the my third best show that I ended up going with is the best looking show of the season. Just one that I'm most reserved about how it could fuck up. Zenshu. Even despite its sneak backdoor isekai pilot first episode, It does have it is a very interesting isekai and a rare, good-looking isekai. So hopefully it can keep up with its unique premise and plot, and hopefully does not shit the bed and just become like every other generic isekai. Maybe we let Mappa cook on this original. We'll see. My second best is I Have a Crush at Work, because it is just I don't care if it's not the best looking show ever made. It is the exact kind of rom-com that I've been clamoring for years, and I wish there were more rom-coms like it. And so I will take I was gonna say I'll take my crumbs, but it wouldn't be fair to call this a crumb. This is like a nice sandwich, not like a full course like 5-star filet mignon, but it's just a tasty sandwich. And my favorite show of the season gotta be Medalist. While the manga is probably overall the best way to consume the show or the consume Medalist, the anime looks to be made competently enough, like overall is like slightly above average when weighed against all other anime ever made. And it might not reach the glorious heights of the manga, but we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the show plays out.
Surprising that none of us put Sakamoto Days on there. Going into the season, I sure was going to be number one on both our lists, but oh well.
Yeah. I going into the season, I thought Medalist would give it a run for its money, but I did not realize that Sakamoto Days' production was going to be that that marred. And as when time went on and we looked at discussion within the anime community, the sentiment is shared among Sakamoto Days fans, especially.
Yeah, rest in peace. It was a murder.
Well, sometimes it just be like that. All right, that's it for reals this time. The podcast is going on hiatus for real until April, when we do the late April, early May, when we do the spring cast. Please don't unsubscribe. We've already
Listen. It's
we
a
already
good
lost it.
chance to subscribe to my channel and subscribe to whatever channel Neon makes in the future to actually upload. You're gonna do it. I'm gonna make you do it, Neon. You're doing it this month.
Before Project 2025 happens, I will upload. Now that I don't have the podcast to worry about after this episode goes up,
which
I'll have
one,
no excuse.
Neon? Because it's looking like both could fill that role.
What do you mean both could fill that role?
Well, you know, the actual Project 2025 and then our knockoff of it.
Well, let's just say, don't be getting on any planes for the foreseeable future, or be very, very cautious.
Yeah, fair enough.
Maybe when we execute our own Project 2025, you maybe do it by car instead of by plane.
True. Yeah, I will strongly consider.
With that brings us to an end to the Winter 2025 Seasonal Impressions podcast. If you enjoyed the episode and want to hear more of our objectively correct takes, registered trademark, then be sure to subscribe to the podcast for when we, I don't know, maybe I'll throw up a short or two on here from time to time to keep the channel from going completely dark until the spring cast in a couple months. And subscribe to Crunchy's channel to see all his latest content. He's working on what you claim to be is the biggest video you've made yet, at least in terms of like how big you think it'll get.
I'm not sure. It definitely won't drag on as long as the Neon Neko Sugar Girls video, just because I'm not balancing a part-time job with it. But it's... oh boy. It's gonna be the best video on my channel if I do it justice, which I intend to. I also think it'll get 1 million billion views. I'm confident. It has to. or I'll kill myself.
Alright, guys, well, the pressure's really on now. You better subscribe. You can't have Crunchy's blood on your hands, guys.
Yeah.
And with that, yeah, that'll do her for this episode of Castaway Anime. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And you'll see us next time.